Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back. This video we're looking at UFC 249 picks for Draftkings and Fanduel. Very excited to make this video as we have some massive tournaments across the sites. So by the end of the day tomorrow, some people are going to be winning a lot of money. Hopefully, some of it could be going to us. So let's get right into it. Before we get started, you could drop a like down below and subscribe if not already. Try to get 100 likes on the video, and also once we hit 10,000 subscribers, we'll be announcing a nice giveaway. We're a little bit away from that, but hopefully we can get that, by the end of the month. First thing we can look at is the odds. So the marquee matchup for tomorrow is Ferguson versus Gaethje. Ferguson is a favorite, minus 190. Other favorites you can see listed here. We have some massive favorites like Span and Verdum, minus 330. And we have some potential upsets here with like Rosa and Watterson and DeCastro and Cerrone. If you want to look at what the public is kind of thinking, ESPN Pick'em, you can look at percentage of people that think, which percentage of people think the fighter is going to win. Obviously, we have some massive people on Span, on Mitchell, although I think Rosa could kind of surprise some people tomorrow. Price is a 50-50. That was definitely surprising. So you could definitely look at that to see if you are, if you're going to go with the guy that's not a lot of people are picking, good chance that they will be low owned. And then if you want to look at some of these stats for these fighters, you can look at ESPN. Also, nice graphic here. For the first fight, Ferguson versus Gaethje. Ferguson, big advantage in terms of reach. Also, that's like the biggest advantage he has. And the fact that he has just been unstoppable recently. He's not overly expensive on DraftKings. I think whoever does win this fight is going to end up with a lot of fantasy points. So if it's not Ferguson, if you think that Gaethje can pull off an upset, either way, I want to get one of the two in my lineup just because I think this fight is going to end up scoring a lot of fantasy points. And Ferguson has just been dominant, so I think he's going to continue that. Another fight that I have some interest in is Henry Cejudo versus Cruz for the another title fight here. But Cejudo was always a little bit shorter than his opponent just because he's 5'4", but that has not stopped him. Really, he can kind of use that to his advantage, and he has in his fights in the past. But his advantage is strikes per minute, accuracy. Advantage is there. A little bit disadvantage in terms of reach and height, but that has not stopped him in his other fights. So Cejudo also been playing really, really well, and I think that he's going to continue that heading into his fight against Cruz. And then another guy that I think you should probably have, especially in your cash games, is Qatar at 8,900. I'd be very shocked if he ends up losing. He's 20-4, facing off against a 28-17 guy. Has advantage in terms of height, reach, strikes, accuracy, basically everything. So Qatar at his price point also looks like a nice value, just because he has a shot to be one of the highest scorers on the slate. Just because if he does end this fight quickly in terms like a TKO, then he's going to be getting a nice amount of fantasy points there. Obviously, I have no problem with playing Span or Verdum. It's just tough because, DraftKings, it's impossible to play everybody that you want above 8,000. For some of the upsets that I think that could happen, we have Watterson at 7,800. The public obviously is on her too. She is. We both have similar records, but she has a height advantage and a little bit of disadvantage in terms of reach, but strikes per minute, accuracy, she has the advantage there. So she looks like she could be a nice play on DraftKings at 7,800. And then I do like DeCastro at 7,600, facing off against Hardy. Also has a shot for an upset there just because of how Hardy plays. Both are very, very similar styles, but we've seen Hardy get tired out in some of his recent fights, so I could definitely see that happening. And then I'd say Rosa at 7,700 also I think could pull off an upset here. Just the odds are not terrible for him, and his matchup against Mitchell, both are pretty similar in terms of height and weight. not much of an advantage for Mitchell in terms of reach 1 inch. He's been pretty aggressive with his strikes per minute, or yeah, per minute. Uh, he's not too accurate with them, but he does have some advantages here, and I do think that he can keep this fight close. And even if he does win at 7,700, I don't think he's going to be too popular. And then over on FanDuel, it's pretty much the similar kind of fighters that I'm on, but the difference is that FanDuel has a MVP spot, and everybody's based on dollar amounts. So some ways to be different here on FanDuel is to not have your most expensive fighter be at your captain, because that's what more than half of the people are going to do that. I do like the fact that Qatar is $18, and I love the fact that Ferguson is just $17. Like I mentioned, I think Ferguson or Gaethje, whoever wins, is going to be one of the highest scoring fighters on the night, and Ferguson at just $17. The fact that he is the same price tag as Hardy does not make much sense. So Ferguson is a guy that I feel very good about. Also, I still like Cejudo, $19. Qatar, $18 stands out. Also, just massive favorite. Good chance that he gets you close to 100 fantasy points here, just in the matchup. And then over on FanDuel, you have some very cheap options, cheap fighters here. It goes all the way down to $8. No interest in the guys under $10. Also, not much interest in Rosenstruck at $10. I do like Rosa at $11 for the reasons I mentioned. Watterson is just $14. She looks like a nice play price if you think that he can pull off an upset here. He is a massive underdog, but obviously the public thinks that he has a shot to win. You could look at his way as a cheap play. Probably my favorite would be probably will stick with Rosa just at $11. That's really cheap, and Watterson if you feel like going that route. And then the mid range, you have some nice plays with like Luki at $18 and Sousa at $16. But really, Qatar looks very good, and Cejudo at $19 looks great. And you have $15 left. I will probably just go with like DeCastro or Price, DeCastro or Rosa. Be consistent and stick with Rosa. Hopefully, he can pull off the win tomorrow night. So that's pretty much it. And just some strategy. I would say that it's important to be cognizant of the fact that you're going to be seeing a lot of the same lineups, especially if you play these 150 max tournaments on DraftKings and FanDuel, like the 888 on FanDuel. So the reason to be different, I would say, is to maybe not have your most expensive fighter as your MVP, and you can leave $1 or $2 on the table. You're going to automatically just be more. You're going to obviously be more different and more unique compared to the rest of the field. So those are the 4 fighters that I feel very good about. I like the prices on DraftKings and FanDuel. Rosa is a little bit risky, but gotta take some risk to win the biscuits. So with that, I will see you all tomorrow. Good luck on this UFC slate